Hi, Homo sapiens. Being stuck in a body is a really difficult experience. First of all, you don't get to pick. Second, it's very small, like tiny. Third, mortality, which is one of the hottest topics at the moment, right up there with weather and Google and film and YouTube and Facebook. It also might be the number one explanation for all the stuff that's been happening on this rock for the past few years, but it is not only the "oh god, I'm gonna die" thought, or the biological death itself. It is not the inevitable heat death of the universe. The sun and all the stars will die. But it's fine. What I can't get over is how dimensionally limited we are. I call it existential FOMO. That's a really cool title. Anyway, I'm having an existential crisis. Yay! For context, it's kind of cold in the northern hemisphere these days. Have you heard of the Fellowship of the Primate? Yeah, they didn't make it. And that makes me sad. Extinction is a sad thing. But also, if a tree falls in the middle of the forest and no one was around to hear it, that's sad. And it's not all about the Neanderthals, it's also the thought of someone who went missing and never came back, or some characteristic in someone that never got to be revealed, or some very important information that never got to be known. The way I always imagined it is if a scientist found the secret formula to unlimited energy, but they never wrote it down or told anyone about it, and then the scientist drowned and their body is lost somewhere in the ocean. But I just think that everything is as valuable as the secret to unlimited energy. Ideas, stories, histories, or truths that are lost forever because they weren't shared in time. There are more than 8 billion people on the planet right now. Those are 8 billion stories, and they only exist in a limited time frame. Humans have been around for more than 100,000 years, and we've only been recording history for the last few thousands of them, which is mostly the stories of the few who managed to be influential enough to be remembered. What about fucking space? What is this? Why is there all that stuff around? You ever think about that very far away planet that is really beautiful and lovely and awesome to be on that we'll never get to see? Yeah, because I do that a lot. God, we're so tiny. On a personal note, I have been thinking about personalities. Yay! When I was a kid, I had this extreme curiosity about what my classmates' houses looked like. And whenever we visited anyone, I would have an uncontrollable urge to go and explore around. This might be invasive and weird and wrong, but I never did it, so everything is fine. And it is still a thing, but instead of houses, it's brains and people's lives, and also their houses. I love whenever I see a place where someone I know spends some of their life in for the first time, like a workplace or something. It's always like, oh, you lived here. I can imagine you there now. As much as we and the people on the TikToks like to categorize, I really believe that every human experience is individual and unique in so many different ways. And thus came the idea of wanting to see the world from the perspective of every single person in the human timeline. This is also impossible because humans are all one person each, and one person can only experience so much before they stop aliving. With the way the world is structured, every person just lives in their own bubble that includes the people and the things you know. Your inputs, your desires, your opinions. It's just a bubble, and occasionally those bubbles collide and merge to form bigger bubbles, which are still not quite that big. And by the way, this has always been the case, even back in the heyday of hitting each other with metal sticks. The difference is just now the bubble became an algorithmic bubble. It's like when you see someone who isn't familiar with something that is really famous, and to you everyone should know it, but this person might just have not been in contact with it. They move in different circles. Some time ago, I was thinking about a different but related idea, which is the fact that we form our views based on a very limited amount of information. And no matter how much experience we believe we have, it's still so limited compared to the grand scheme of things. You might know a lot of people, good for you, but it's not that many. So, there isn't really a good way of experiencing the world outside of your cranial cavity. And that's why the video game fantasy of living an experience that you can't really have or even sometimes make your own self is so popular. Like, I really want to see what it's like to be Caleb from the 1997 video game Blood. Any questions? No? Okay. The thing about the universe is, it is kind of not meant to be fun. We made that word up. We made all words up. They're meat sounds. We flap our meat at each other. If a tree falls in the middle of a forest and no one is around to hear it, that's sad, but the forest is too big and millions of trees fall every day and we can't keep track of all of them. We can only yell and scream about it. Being such a completionist about life comes from a place of curiosity and wanting to put a visual to what I do not and can never see. And it's a fascinating thought, but it reminds me of all the things we cannot control. Our brains can't really handle that much information anyway before it starts to, so it is inevitable for things to get lost and forgotten all the time. Besides, there are still cool things we get to coexist with, like red pandas and Keanu Reeves and Wall-E. People of the far, far future will wish they existed with them, I'm sure. I like to give a shout out to the human habit of documenting things, which is something I really encourage on a personal level. Whatever way you can tie feelings and memories to something tangible that you can look back on. And I could look with you, because I am very intrusive. I'm gonna explore your house so well that you will, bye.